Okay, so the next thing I want to investigate for 223 is which primer is going to do the best job. There may be one primer that works great in everything. We may find the different powder types need different primers, different bullet weights, load densities, any of that. But we have to start somewhere, and I've got a couple videos planned to just do some preliminary tests with a couple bullets. Let's run through the primers I've got really quick. The first is the S&B. This is a cheap option. These go for 20 bucks a thousand. So even if these are middle of the pack, it's still pretty impressive. The next is the Federal AR small rifle match primers. We've fired a few of these around the channel here over the last couple years. But the next one, Winchester small rifle primers, the WSRs, I've never shot before. For some weird reason, Winchester large rifle primers are what I always buy, but I never seem to buy Winchester in anything else. So I picked up some WSRs. We're going to try those guys out. And then we've got a whole stack of CCI. We've got the CCI standard small rifle primer, the number 400, the small rifle bench rest primer, the BR4, the small rifle Magnum primer, the 450, and the CCI number 41, the military style, which is what we've primarily used around here, is the CCI number 41. So today's test bullet, I want to take these 7 primers and shoot 5-shot groups with each one using the 55 grain full metal jacket boat tail from Bob's Bulk Bullets. We've been playing around with these here recently. These are very inexpensive. Got a coupon code and link. I'll leave it down in the description. But these have been very impressive. This is going to be our first test bullet. The next video, we're basically going to do the same test over again, but we're going to use 69 grain Match King, and we're going to use different powders. But here, the first bullet is the 55 grain Bob's Bullet. So I want to reshoot powders we've already fired. The first is Hodgdon H335. It's one of the first we tested, I believe. I want to shoot 25.0 grains. There's our 25. Whoa, my camera's gone nutty, hasn't it? There it is. There's our 25.0. It shot a 1-inch group for us previously, so it's about 3,091 feet per second is what we saw before. That's going to be our first load. Our second load is going to be with Alliant AR Comp. Here's our AR Comp target, and we're also going to shoot 25.0 grains. Man, my camera is losing its marbles. All right, I don't want to make it angry, but just trust me, we were around 1-inch groups in that 25.0 range. We haven't shot exactly 25.0 before, but we shot 24.8, we shot 25.2. I'm expecting 25.0 to be around 3,150 feet per second, which is a pretty hot load out of my 18-inch gun. Let's see, does that cover it? Brass is going to be the same Federal 223 brass that we've been shooting for a while. And as you can see, there's already a primer in that guy. I wanted to sit down and do it before I turned the camera on, just to make 100% certain that I didn't do any mix-ups, that I followed my list very closely. So I've got these 2 loading trays ready to go. So we're ready for powder and bullets. We're going to be on the range in no time. On overall length, I've kind of gone back and forth here. We've shot from 2.260 full magazine length down to 2.225 with this bullet. For this test, I want to go ahead and stretch it out to 2.260. We had measured it before. That's not that far off my lands, like 5 thousandths off my lands. I think that'll make for a pretty good setup. We're not going to line up with the cantilever, but that's no big deal. So hopefully that all makes sense. I need to start weighing out 25 grains of H335. I've got my powder measure set up, throwing pretty close, but I am going to verify every charge on a scale. So I'll get started with this, and I'll get back with you guys when something interesting happens. So I am using my Redding seating die instead of my Forster. I still haven't had a chance to look at that seating die. And yeah, whatever. Still using the Redding die. It does a nice job with these bullets, so should be just fine. Got the Lee Factory crimp die set to just give it a little squeeze. Nothing crazy, just a little squeeze. Nothing you can visually see. It's what I would call a light crimp. Finally picked up some 100 round 223 ammo boxes the other day. This is the perfect time for it, since we've got 70 rounds. That doesn't fit so well in a 50 round ammo box. So there's nothing to see here that we haven't covered thoroughly in the previous videos. So let's get out to the range where things will hopefully become more interesting. Okay folks, it is time to get started. We are at 100 yards. I've got my Caldwell ballistic precision chronograph out, getting velocity. We've got a very crowded target today, 14 dots, but I'm thinking the Bob's bullets can shoot accurate enough to keep the target looking pretty. If not, it could get ugly. Shooting from a bipod in the rear bag. This gun has got an 18-inch white oak armament barrel. I'll have links down in the description for all the details about the gun. So let's get started. First up is S&B with H335. Okay, before we started, I did shoot a 5-shot group with some ciders just to warm things up and, you know, just get things warmed up. Next up is the Federal AR match primer. All right, so we're only 2 primers in and we've already seen a 50 foot per second swing in our velocity. Next up is Winchester. Next up is the CCI 400. CCI BR4. Okay, our old friend, the CCI number 41 is next. Okay, the CCI 450 is the last primer. And as it sits right now, the S&B has been the fastest velocity, and the standard deviation numbers are certainly interesting. All right, here we go, CCI 450. I'm trying to resist the urge to analyze this until later, you know, when we can sit down at the bench and look at all the data. Certainly interesting results so far. I'm a little worried about these groups opening up. I still feel like I'm shooting well. So my pace so far has been about a shot per minute or a little bit under. I shot those 35 shots in about 27 or 28 minutes. So I want to go ahead and continue to shoot, keep the gun nice and warm. Moving on to AR comp, our first primer here is S&B. All right, so we definitely strung at least one low. I'm going to take a 20-minute break at least and let the gun cool down a little bit, and we'll see if the groups tighten back up. Okay, so it has actually been about 30 minutes. The barrel's cooled down a lot. It's still warm though, so I might have had it a little hotter than I should have. Next up is the Federal AR match. Did my target camera just die? Hopefully not. I may need to run a new battery out to that guy. So our target camera was fine. I'm just a little sensitive today. Wait until you see the 300 blackout primer video. Had some technical difficulties. And I'm filming this one at the same time, so I'm a little on edge. Give me a break. Okay, next up is Winchester. So that was a pretty poor showing there by Winchester. Standard deviation number is crap. The group's crap. That's a little bit surprising. Next up, CCI number 400. Okay, next is the BR4. Okay, CCI number 41. Okay, last up is the CCI 450. All right, let's get back to the bench, make some charts and graphs and crap, see if we can make any sense of this. Okay, first things first, did you guys hear that last shot? It sounded really weird. Let's play those last 5 shots over again. Just pay attention to what that last shot sounds like. So that shot landed 12 inches above its normal group. It was the very last shot, and that's where it went. I've looked over my suppressor. I don't think it's a baffle strike. I've had a flashlight, and we've been looking at this guy pretty close, so I don't think it hit my suppressor. I don't know where that sound came from, and it's freaking me out. The velocity on that shot was totally normal. It grouped right in there with the other 5 shots, or the other 4 shots. So I'm gonna have to, I don't know, tear the gun apart, just give it one more quick look over, because I don't like weird noises out of my guns and shots that go a foot high. I can tell you right now, we're not going to come to any conclusions in this video. We need more data, because this is a little bit crazy. The group started out excellent. 0.97, 0.98, then we tightened up to a 6/10 of an incher there, and then all hell just kind of broke loose a little bit. We were over an inch for the rest. And then that first shot on the next string, same kind of thing, kind of that 1.5 inch size. So I could just never quite regain that cold barrel, maybe, form. I don't know. We took our big break, came back, and then shot a 0.94 inch group with the Federals. But then it just got bad again. Went from just kind of overall groups opening up to this weird horizontal stringing sort of thing. Like this dude over here on this group. What is that guy doing? That's not where he was supposed to go at all. So this is a little puzzling. Here's what I'll tell you. So I ran out of daylight. I was not able to shoot the next video yet. I've got the ammo loaded, the video started, but I wasn't actually able to fire the rounds. What I did fire today was this video, which is the 223 part 1, and I also fired a similar test in 300 blackout. That's going to be tomorrow's video. So you're watching this today, tomorrow is going to be 300 blackout, and then the day after that is going to be part 2 of this series where we switch bullets to the 69 grade Match King. My early targets with the Match King that we looked at earlier, I didn't see this problem of groups opening up as the gun warmed up. So I'm going to try to keep the same cadence, the same pace to my shooting in the next video and see if, we get similar issues. Another thing I think I want to do, I want to shoot it backwards. So we'll start with the CCI 450 and we'll work our way toward the S&B just to try and even things out in that manner as well. Now, looking purely at groups, if we had no additional information, Federal was our best shooter. Cranked off a .98 and a .94. S&B was probably our second best with this .97 and 1.52. These guys up here, none of them really put together two decent groups. It didn't really get terrible until 41 and 450. They just seemed to have a rough day. Now, if we plot, this is where things get confusing. We're going to have to learn how to look at this chart. This is the best way I know to put it into paper. Okay, yeah, let's start off. Let's look at the AR comp chart first because it's the cleanest looking chart. The standard deviations were smaller. So the blue dot, every blue dot is a shot, right? And across the bottom you see the labels for the different sorts of primers, and up the left-hand side are the velocities. So each blue dot represents a shot. Top of the chart's fast, 3,200 feet per second. Bottom of the chart is slow at 3,000 feet per second. So I put two numbers on there. So right beside each group of blue dots to the right of it is its standard deviation number. That number gets smaller when the shots are closer together in velocity. So if the blue dots are crunched in together, that'll mean a small standard deviation number. If they're spread out, that'll mean a big one. And then on top of the dots, I put the group size. So this AR comp chart almost looks normal. The only one that really jumps out at me, so Winchester had a bad time. That 25.6 feet per second standard deviation number looks a little bit gnarly. That one shot that was high, right below where it says 1.98 inches, I think maybe that was the outlier. I don't know. We need more shots really to be certain. But Winchester just kind of had a bad time. It had a bad group size, and it had a bad standard deviation number. Pretty much everything else was similar in, the performance we see here. So discounting group size, everything else was pretty similar, kind of. Now, if we move on to the H335 chart, it's a little grosser because the standard deviation numbers were poorer. Our shots were more spread out as far as velocity goes. So this is the one I'm scratching my head on. I can't wait to shoot the next video because, to shoot those rounds in the next video, the 69 grade Match King loads. I can't wait to see how these line up because there are some real surprises, especially on this sheet. S&B was the fastest velocity. Like, really? That's crazy. And our slowest velocity was the CCI 400 and the 450. The 450 just had a rough day. And it had a pretty rough time of it back whenever I tested it in 300 blackout with Hodgson CFE black powder. Like, I've never seen that guy perform the way I feel it should perform. So that's kind of, that's where we stand right here at the end of video 1. We've got these two charts that don't make a whole lot of sense, and we just need more data to compare it to. As far as the brass goes, there's really not anything to see. There's really not. I still need to clean them off a little bit and take a closer look. We might have a look in the next video with, the rounds from that test and the rounds from this test and see if we can, spot any issues with them, but there's just nothing here. I also need to look them over really close. Maybe that last shot was a blown case or something. A case failure that I didn't spot when I was picking up the brass. So we'll have an update on that as well in the next video. I don't know what the heck. That was really weird. Tell you one thing that was pretty awesome. I finally bought a halfway decent rear bag. This is one of those protector model leather rear bags. Oh man, it's all nice and leathery. You fill it with sand.
Bag of sand.
And it just feels so good. And it is so freaking rock solid. For the last several years, I've just been buying, or just been using the generic rear bags you get at your local gun store, frickin' zip tied, 2 pieces, whatever. Just cheap generic stuff. And the one I've been using has started leaking out its little, plastic pellets. So I was about to buy another cheap one at a gun store. And they're not cheap. Like, they're really not that cheap. And it made me think back, like, my grandfather was always a big bench rest shooter. That was one of the best things about going to the range with him, was getting to use his bags. Like, they were all soft and sandy, and some of them were like suede and stuff, and they felt so good. So that's what I ended up doing. This thing is built. These seams are freaking outstanding. This is going to last my lifetime. And these aren't terribly expensive. This was $40, $45. Certainly not cheap, but I'm never going to have to buy another one. That's the important part. So I don't know. I just thought I'd bring that up. I'll leave a link in the description. If you're sick of the cheap bags, then man, this is a worthwhile investment. I can't wait till it gets nice and broken in and soft and gooey and comfortable, but it is already it's already a huge improvement over what I was using. You do have to go buy sand from your hardware store, and I baked it in the oven to make sure there wasn't any moisture in it. And it takes like an hour to fill this thing up, because there's like one fill tube for the body, and then each of the ears has a separate fill. And so it takes some love, it takes some attention. Definitely worth it though. All right, guys. So I think that's pretty much it. We're left with more questions than we got answers. There's no doubt about that. Bob's Bullets was freaking impressive. Cranking out those first 3 groups. I was really proud of the Bob's Bullets, man. 7 or 8 cents a piece. Holy crap, kiss my butt. There's going to be I'll have a link in the description and our coupon code JRB free ship to get free shipping on boxes up to 1,000. So be sure to check that out. Get you some bullets, play along at home, give me some feedback. How are they shooting for you guys? We've had them here on the channel for 10 days or so. I know some of you guys ordered them. Once you start putting bullets down range, man, let me know how they're working out for you. I'm really interested. So this is where I leave you. If you want to support the channel, please come check me out at patreon.com/reloading. Help me buy some primers. Keep this thing going. I would certainly appreciate it. So I will see you guys tomorrow with some 300 blackout primers. It's going to be a dumpster fire. Just wait.